चाहे बी स्कूल इंटरव्यू हो या जॉब इंटरव्यू, आपका पहला इंप्रेशन आपके सीवी से पड़ता है. So learn how to create an impressive standout CV and what are the mistakes to avoid that lead to your CV's rejection. In this session, our IIM Mumbai student Akanksha has beautifully explained what are the things to be kept in mind while creating your CV for your B school interviews and even beyond while you're at B school. So make sure you don't miss this.
Okay, so let's start. So the main reason why we all are meeting today is to understand how you could build up a great CV. And basically, the title does say resume, but you need to understand that there is a difference between a CV and a resume. Your resume is very focused towards one particular job and everything. Your CV is a kind of a document that states all your achievements, major ones till date. Even in CV we'll see that there are multiple types and how you could like just prepare one that creates impact. So a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Akanksha. I'm a MBA student at IIM Mumbai, and apart from that I've been active in different global forums, be it COP29, BRICS, the G20. This year, like the last year, for my summers I interned at Godrej Consumer Products Limited in operations and supply chain as a Gurukul intern. And there are a lot of things that IIM has given me an edge about, so I think this is a wonderful platform to pay back the things that I've learned, so sharing the same things with you all. So basically, if we see the mindset, generally when we say about a CV, it is all about all everything that you have done till date. It is actually it shouldn't be the thing. So it is not a record of duties that were assigned to you till date. It is how you're positioning yourself to the question to the people who are questioning you. So most of the times from what we have observed or what was like even here in IM for placements where we have seen CVs of our juniors and everything, and majorly people use a lot of passive language like responsible for this thing and I did this, but that is not the way you should be writing things on your CV. You should be focusing on tasks and inputs, and you should have active language. You should focus on impact. So basically, from the CV, the recruiter or the person who is taking your interview should understand what task you were assigned and what impact did you create. It is not about the things that you learned, not just about the things that you learned or the role, the project, everything. It is about what, even if a minute change you were able to bring on the role when you were assigned it. So there is a golden rule, for example, like this is just one basic thing that you have to understand. You cannot use verbs like just worked on, managed, helped it. You have to use power verbs. So by the end of the slide that you will understand why I'm saying this. So there are certain words like led, orchestrated, facilitated, accelerated, developed. So these are some of the power verbs. If you could just Google, you will find a complete list of all the power verbs that you could use on your CV. So there is a method like every all of your CV pointers should have you. I hope by now you all know about the SWOT method, SWOT analysis. So you should it should be clearly stating like what was the situation, what task were you assigned, what did you do, what was the weakness, what was the outcome of it. So everything, what was the proof, like the metric, how did you measure the impact that you created, how did you do it, and it should be very specific, not generic. So the CV, as we know, generally follows a guideline. Like it has your name and your education details, your internship or your work experience if you have any. Post that followed by your projects that you have done. Your final year project is a must on your CV, the UG final year project. Post that it could have your PORs, position of responsibilities that you have held till date. It could be as small as a volunteer in a club of your college to national and international responsibilities. For this should be followed by your certifications, awards and achievements, and other things that academic achievements that you would like to highlight. So basically your CV is like a selling point. You are putting yourself on the market. Like all the recruiters, all the people who are interviewing, the professors, they all should understand, okay, this guy or this girl has a charm and I need him or her in my institute or in my team. So it should clearly understand like who you are, what you've achieved till date, what value you bring to the table. So you should be able to convey to them. Your CV is like the first impression of that you present to the interviewers. So it is very important that you do it, and there are some just do's and don'ts. As of now, I think we all have that basic understanding of not adding personal details like a date of birth or photos on our CV. It should be very structured, the template. So I have prepared a template and I will be sharing with you by the end of this session. So I think it will be very helpful for you all, writing points and everything. Your CV should be just one pager, nothing more than that. And okay, let me just show you the template so you understand. Yeah. Okay. So on the top portion of your so as you can see, this is just one pager. You don't have to exit it at all. So on the first line, it should be your name, and followed by just your gender and age. So this is that is very common. Apart from that, this is the one space where you get to represent yourself. It could be about your hobbies. It could be about one thing that defines you or makes you stand out up from the crowd. So for example, in my CV, I had written traveler because like apart from my colleagues, so I had traveled extensively throughout India. I had traveled almost 20 plus states in the country, different cities and institutes. So most of my interview, for example, for I am Lucknow, they asked me this question ki, why have you written this traveler and what is the speciality of this place? So when I told them that I've traveled this much states, so they asked me questions based on that, and they were pretty impressed about the answers. So that is something that you could give a talking point to the interviewers, and especially since this is the part you can highlight because it is not academic, purely academic in nature. So you can highlight about something that you're passionate about. So like I am passionate about sustainability. So they asked me like, what have I been reading about it? Have I done something on ground? Do I participate in various campaigns or everything? So it is your space to shine. So after that, your academic profile. So your academic profile will be in the reverse chronological order: your degree, your institute, your CGPA, and your year. So one thing very important, so we all miss is generally this part. So it is possible that you have graduated from different boards for your 10th and 12th, and your UG has a CGPA well as your 10th and 12th had a percentage. So it is very important that you like homogenize all of these things. It should be in one scale, either percentage or CGPA. So make sure all of it is together. The year should be clearly mentioned for all of these degrees. So the next thing that we come here is your summer internships, if you have done any, or any internships or work ex that you have. So in your work ex, for example, your organization name should be very clearly visible, your project title or the role or anything that you were clearly working on, your duration or in terms of weeks and months. So roles and responsibilities. So here we come back to the slides. So it is very important that your roles or whatever you write in your roles and responsibilities, it should be very specific, it should be very target oriented, and it should have some outcomes in it. So here, if you see, there is one section for roles and responsibilities and there is other section for achievements everywhere. So this is very important because in the first part you write the just the details. For example, this was the project I did this. Like for example, my UG project was about improving efficiency of a line. So I studied, for example, value stream mapping. I did this, which resulted to this much improvement. So that is the part you write in your roles and responsibilities in one line using power verbs. And in your achievement parts, you write about what the business impact it created. For example, if it saved this many times of manual labor hours, or if it created some revenue. For example, if you boost productivity of something, there is a potential business outcome to it. So you can just calculate the business outcome and write accordingly. So that is the part. So in terms of core internships and work ex, for example, one of the major mistake that people work is they write very generic things like worked on social media strategy, everything, help team with daily tasks. But you should write something that has created structurally impact. Like it should show what was the method, what was the problem that was addressed, how did you solve it, what metric did you use to measure the impact, and what was the actual impact created. For example, this line reduced customer acquisition cost by 15% through organic social media growth. So instead of just writing worked on social media strategy, you could write this, that what was the impact of that social media strategy that you used, and the business impact was it cut cost by 15%. So everything, if as much as possible, try to have numbers, quantify outcomes. And like for example, through organic social media growth. So now here even you could mention that what was the social media growth, how many followers did you reach, how many new accounts did you target, what was the channel used, everything. So it should be very like structured. It should clearly have these five things: the method, the problem, the what were like what did you do to solve it, the metric they used to measure the impact, and the impact. So similarly, things about your life project. So if currently, as most of you are giving interviews, so we have a lot of free time on hand. So people who have already graduated or resigned from their jobs, you can take up some life projects. It will actually help you because now, given that you have time to focus on something, so take up roles in terms of which will help you for your MBA. Like it can be something in terms of supply chain, it can be something regarding marketing, finance, HR. whatever that helps you get the keywords on your resume. So there are certain keywords, for example, just like we were discussing, for marketing it is the customer acquisition cost, for it is engagement, it is strategy, it is daily reporting. So all these keywords, so your project should highlight all of these keywords and it should come on your resume. So it is very important to structure it properly so that the people who are reading it understand it in their language. So if you write like just very vaguely, it is like the people or the professors, they are very used to reading all of these words while they're teaching or while they're doing research. So if you use these words, they are very familiar with it. So they can easily connect with the work that you have done. Yeah. So any questions so far?
Yeah, actually, I have a question.
Yes.
I have resigned from my company, and my UG project is not so great. So, is it okay that should I like take a live project now, like at this moment?
It's fine as long as you are thorough enough with the work that you are doing. Like you can always say that you are learning. So that is one thing. It is matlab, good. Like the one thing that happens is once you join an IIM or a B school, even like during July itself, they will ask you to prepare your CV for summer internships. So
Right.
essentially, the CV that goes to the company for summer internship is the CV whatever you have done before joining the B school. So now that you have time on hand, I would highly recommend you doing something so that your CV is not empty and at the end point you're not just looking for certifications to fill the gap in your CV.
Okay.
So if you have time, definitely do it.
Like a normal basic marketing project, it works, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Thank
it should like you should be able to show the impact that you've created. It is not just for certification purpose.
you.
So
Got it.
yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I mean, law, we don't have any live projects or something. We just go to court for internship. Then how should I justify this in my CV?
So, yeah, I have a couple of lawyer friends also, but in that case, what you can do is the structural, like when I said structure your CV accordingly. So, if you're doing any litigation internship under any judge or a senior advocate, you could just write like how many cases you analyzed or how many briefs you prepared. So, just show that how you were of utility to the team that you joined. It is not like you were just a freeloader there in the team. So, the person whoever is reading your CV should understand, okay, this person actually contributed even 5%, but there was some utility of having this person on my team. So that is how you show. So I'm not very like sure of the specific words in law field that you could use, but yeah, matlab we also have some lawyers on campus, so like that is something, it is possible. You could also work on policy. So law and policy really go hand in hand. So that is something you could explore. Do some policy level courses with some think tanks or something, because IIM professors would love to see law students with a policy word on their CV. So the next section, so this when I say life project, it is again the thing that I said, projects that you are doing currently. When I say projects, it is about your final year project. So people who are taking interviews for IIMs, they ask a lot of questions about your final year projects, especially for freshers, because that is the only thing that you have ownership of till date. So that is the only place where you can prove that you have worked on something and you have successfully completed a project. So for the IIM interviews, professors ask a lot. When you discuss about your final year project, you should be very thorough about what was the objective, what was the goal of the project, how, like, what was the business impact actually it created, what methodologies did you use, what if you had coded, like used some code. So like how did you develop that logic, what was the strategy that you used. So and in the end, so in this section, in the achievement section, you should be clearly mentioning the business impact. So even if it is a highly technical project, so like my project was highly technical, I had to build up a had to design a plant for PNCB. So this, it was highly technical engineering project, but then I had to translate, okay, ठीक है, India has this much demand, out of which this can be supplemented if I set up that plant. So you have to just convince them that the project that you have done is actually has some business impact. So how is it better than the already existing one? So the plants that were currently existing, they had comparatively lower ROI. So my calculations or my metrics showed that I could create a one with a better ROI. So you just have to convince them about the impact, and it's real world. You should include some real world examples. So yeah, demonstrate an engineering or business point of view. So if you're an engineer, do that. Like show that how you have learned in your engineering, on also its business impact. So the next is about internships. So during your UG, you might have done some internships. That is, like this section is restricted for that part. Then we have POR, the position of responsibility. This is one of the most important part of your CV. So this shows, like, this is even here in B schools, people compete really, like there is a cutthroat competition for different clubs just because you get a POR on your CV. So it is very important that you highlight this section very much. It should show that you take ownership of whatever work that is assigned to you. You can lead some people, you can scale up things, you can manage resources. So this is what is expected when we say that you have a POR. For example, I was in ECEL, the entrepreneurship of my UG institute. So you should be able to clearly demonstrate, like if you led a team, for example, there was a team of 12 members that I had led. We had almost 800 plus participants participating in different competitions. So that thing, if there is a budget for your particular event, so how did you manage that budget? How did you secure it from different corporate partners? How did you held some expo or something? So this is very important part of your like CV. Like I cannot just stress enough on this point. It is really important. So it is, and you should, it is better if you have at least three PORs in different domains. Like one could be a club like thing. Second could be if you have something related to cultural thing, like maybe a cultural club or anything. Third could be an academic thing. So there are different academic clubs. So if you have all of these things, it is like great. It is highly recommended that you show ownership. So two PORs are also fine, but it is great if you have three, and you should clearly mention the year. So if it is in your UG first year, second year, before UG, in during your school, whatever it is, just mention years for all of it. Then comes the part that gives you actual competitive edge over other people who are competing. So here, the certifications and academic achievements part. So here you basically have to contextualize your wins. So for example, don't just say that you won first prize. So you just have to say that there were 30 people, like you secured first place out of 30 finalists in this competition at national level. It was organized by this. So, or you demonstrated this skill. So it is very important that you tell the people that you were ranked first out of how many. So if you just say I was first out of 10 people, it makes like very less sense compared to if it was just about 30 or 50 people. So quantify like each and every achievement that you have, like you can say the percentile wise if you don't have exact rank. So this is something that could be done. So a lot of you must have participated in Olympiads, or we have like hackathons in our UG level, everything like case competitions are there, different interstate, inter-college competitions. So whatever it is, as far as your achievements are concerned, just collate all of them, write it in this order. So your academic achievement. So the first one here should be like the highest one. That is the national, if you have any national or international achievement. So that should come first with the year. Then your state level achievements or district or city level, followed by your school or college level achievements. So this part actually tells the interviewer that okay, this person has an edge over other people. He or she competes at different levels. It can be anything. It can be debate, it can be sports, culturally, quiz, Olympiads, or academics, anything. But this person, whatever he or she decides or maybe is passionate about, they can win or excel at those things. So it shows that you are a performer and not just matlab, an attendee or normal participant. So it is very important that you contextualize your wins. So some people here, they don't have like much points, but if you have some like really good even academic achievements. So I've seen some of my batchmates, they write like they have 99 plus percentile in CAT. So if you don't have anything else, even that works as of now, like not in the long term, but for this stage, it is fine. Or like if you have some like really good achievement in your 10th and 12, like if you were the state topper in your school, out of say 100 students, anything like that works here. So it is very important that you show that you are academically or in any way superior to the people who are competing in the same pool as you. So the next part, we would talk about some certifications. So it is very important that apart from this things that we have, like the technical skills that we saw through the projects, the social skills that we saw through the POR, the competitive edge that you have through the academic achievements. So it is very important that you keep on adapting yourself. So it is very important that you do certain certifications and you add them to your profile. So for example, there is this one website called as Forage. So if since we all are targeting here MBA, so you could go to that website and work on live projects given by different corporates, and like you just have to do a couple of tasks that they assign, and then in the end you get a certificate. So it is very valuable because it brings that basically brand of that company on your CV. So like before joining for MBA, there was this one I would say live project given by BCG on that portal. So I did that project and added to my CV. So one of the interviewers for IIM interview, they asked me that question, ki, what have you done exactly in this project? Can you just tell me? So that is one place where you can show, okay, you are not just the normal audience, you are doing one step ahead, and you are actually, you have already started working on such matlab business level projects, and you have that edge. So, and the certifications part doesn't have to be very exquisite. Like a lot of people are not even like well versed with basic Excel. So if you do some Excel, advanced Excel certifications from Udemy, it also really helps. Like people do need these skills. Like you could learn Excel, you could learn PowerPoint, you could learn Tableau or Power BI. So these are some of the tools that are really used. Like even we use them day to day in our life. So that is something that could give you an edge. Apart from that, one of the like NPTEL, so because of this NEP, the new education policy that was introduced, a lot of B schools are focusing on NPTEL certifications. You could also like use them as credits in future if your institute allows, depending it is highly dependent on the institute that you get admitted into. So you could do some NPTEL courses by this institute. So for it, it would be like it's actually a very good strategy. So what I did was I did a like I was interviewing for Bangalore, and then there is a professor who had a course on NPTEL from IIM Bangalore. So I just spoke, okay, I've done a course from your institute, and I got a certification for the same. So it shows credibility. Ki yes, this person can actually take up IIM courses and pass in them. So it shows that you are like it shows that you are rigorous enough to go through that thing. So this is something that you should definitely have. Plus, it shows evidence that you are technically like skilled enough. So apart from that, so for all the non-engineer people, you could have a CFA certification, CMA certifications on your profile, or different finance and accounting certifications. So that would really help like the interviewer understand, okay, that you are not just a regular 3-year UG student. You have actually gone a step ahead to learn the subject and see how it will impact your career. So it is very important to maintain quality when you're doing certificates. Don't just list like 10 random certificates. So here, if you could see, I've just left space for 3 certifications. So whatever you do, choose the top 3 certificates and include them in the CV, final CV that you have. And don't forget to mention the issuing authority and year. So that is very important because there are some certificates that are at the global level. For example, the one I did, there was a certificate by UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, on impact investing. So since I was targeting all the investment roles, so I did the certificate. So it really helped even the interviewer see ki, okay, theek hai, she's talking about global level certifications, the United Nations certificates. So all of these are available free of cost, and you should definitely just look up the areas that you're interested in. So for example, if you're interviewing for finance MBA, so you could have some certifications about finance on your CV. If your MBA is for like supply chain, have a supply chain related certification. If it is general MBA, have something regarding consulting or marketing on your profile. So for ABM students, you can target something related to agribusiness. So there are variety of certifications available free of cost. So just make best use of that thing. Yeah, and in the last is the extracurricular part. So this is the part where you could actually show your hobbies, your skills, what you like to do apart from academics or apart from routine university work. If you could do vlogging, if you have a YouTube channel. So like I love to speak about sustainability. So I visit different conferences where I've spoke about these things. I led all of those like sustainability motives and everything. So I had added all those parts here in the extracurricular part. So like it really shows how you are willing to create an impact even beyond the just basic academics. So if you have a basic YouTube channel, you could just write like just quantify each and every achievement. Like even if it is about your hobby, it should show that you are a disciplined person who is not like who is really really passionate about your hobby. Like if you like to just run, if you have some marathons or something, write about it. If you are a football, if you have participated in district level football competitions or leagues, you should write about that. If you are interested in communication, you should write about your blogs or everything. Just show creativity, discipline, and consistency. So discipline is basically what they're looking for from this section. It should show that your hobby is not just something that you do for like a time pass or something. You are really passionate about it, and even that is like an area that you want to explore. So if you like dance, if you have taken some dance competition, like there are levels in dance, so if you have those certifications, mention it. This is the perfect place for it to highlight. So a lot of friends of mine, so actually they like quizzing, so they had written it that they go to different like places or clubs and everything, and they just participate in quizzing, and they have won it at multiple levels. So one of my friends interview for 30 minutes almost it went on just quizzing, because even the professor was passionate about it. So this is something that you could show about yourself, and just like don't write anything just for the sake of it, because this place they will be really asking a lot of questions, because this is something that you've written on your own. So it is very important to know whatever you have written in your CV. Each and every word that goes in your CV should be thoroughly read, thoroughly understood by you. Yeah, so as we were talking about how do you write power bullet, so it is you start with an action verb, you start, then you go to the task or project, and in the end you end with the quantification. So like for example, even in this thing, so the first one could be the task that was assigned to you, the second one could be what actions did you take, and the last one could be the achievements, whatever was possible. So this is just the basic. You could, as I said, you could just use the basic SWOT analysis. The second most important part after the CV is your LinkedIn. So a lot of people actually are not using LinkedIn perfectly. So LinkedIn is basically your digital twin, as I would say, because it's like the how you portray yourself to the entire world. So it should be very consistent. So if you have mentioned some projects on your CV, it is very important that you mention the same thing on your LinkedIn. It should not contradict. So like there are some people who say that okay, they have done a 6 month internship. They write on LinkedIn 6 months, but on CV where you actually have to prove things with a certificate and everything, they just mention it 2 months. So these two things should not contradict, or basically you will lose trust from the interviewers, like in general. So that your LinkedIn acts like a social proof. So if you have some recommendations from peers or anyone, you're from your previous professors, so just request them. They would be happily available to write it out for them. Complete your LinkedIn section, because it is really important. That is how you are viewed in a B school. So it like here your actual profile, I would say, like nobody cares about your Facebook, Instagram, nothing. Your LinkedIn is who you are. So it is very important that you start the journey now itself. Yeah, so basically every point that goes on your CV is a potential interview question, and the like each and everything that you write, each and every word. So there are like there's a test called as 3Y test. So for example, if you write I worked on social media campaign, so the first the question would be what social media campaign, what did you do? So once you answer that, then again there could be a follow-up question from the interviewer. So you deep dive into it, then followed by another follow-up question. So this is like the three back-to-back questioning. So this we call the 3Y test. So basically for each and every line that you mentioned on your CV, maintain an Excel sheet, write the like line on top, and then go deep down into each and every word that you have written, its meaning, its relevance, why did you particularly use that word, how was the impact created. So all of these things really really matter, because it's like you're putting out on the front ki, okay theek hai, this is who I am. And then if you're not able to defend who you are, then it immediately shows the person that okay, this is fake. The person has just written this for the sake of it and has not actually worked on the project. So it is very important to do that. Finally, you should check for some red flags, like are there any typos. So this is a very negative impression to the interviewer. So it shows that you are not serious enough about your CV, because if you cannot just handle a typo, it shows that you are not capable of being a manager someday. So immediately like rejection could is possible. So avoid typos. The verbs are generic, change it. Like the power verbs, as I said, just Google it, power verbs list, and you will find it. So if there is a proof, like for each and every point generally on your CV, the interviewer will ask some proof. So whatever points you write, Additionally, prepare a file with you, your documents file. So if you wrote you won a competition, you should have a certificate for that thing or anything. Like it should be proof, like backed up by evidence. Even during your IM admission thing, like there will be document verification. So make sure that all those points that you write on your CV are legit and do not fake or make fraud claims, because in the end it will be very difficult for you to justify it. So it is very important that there is proof for whatever you write on your CV. Like the paragraph shouldn't be so long. Like I would say just avoid paragraph. It should be just one line. So one line starts here, ends here. The followed by second bullet point, followed by third bullet point. So it should be just one line. And visual hygiene. So generally this thing is very important. Like all your points should start from here and end here. So if the space is not enough, you could adjust using like adjoining verbs like the, or like basic verbs. But generally ensure that your there is no white space in your CV, like this should all be filled, etc. So this is like the part of visual hygiene. Your space and fonts are consistent. So since like if you're using this template, I've already like the fonts and everything is consistent, so you don't need to worry about that. Yeah, so majorly then the 5-step plan that you could have as of now is just prioritize impact in all the lines that you mentioned on your CV. Build a master profile. So generally the thing is like we prepare a 2 to 3 page CV that has all the highlights that you have done till date. It could be from something like as small as participating or volunteering for a social cause to your biggest academic achievements, and depending on the particular interview that you're going to face in the next coming up days, so you could just choose points that are relevant to that role or that domain, and then prepare a 1 page final CV. Link evidence. So each and every certificate and everything that you have, prepare documentary evidence. Take this file with you during the interview. It is very important. The professor will ask for you for it. And the fourth step is proofread. So ensure that your like page is there is a hygiene check. There are no grammatical errors and everything. Get a peer review or get it reviewed from somebody who knows or who has been through that thing. And lastly is you get it tailored for that particular role. So that's it, yeah, from document to interview. So your every bullet in your CV is a potential interview question, and just really, really be prepared to defend and explain each and everything that you write on your CV. Yeah. So that's it from my side.